Today our speaker is Pastor Mike Shafer. He was born and raised in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Mike began his work in funeral home ministry in 1983. He is a graduate of Edisto High School. He's also graduated from the University of South Carolina at Coastal, Upton Jones of mortuary science, and attended Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. He's been employed with Barron and Dansdale Baker Funeral Home since 1994 as the manager. Mike is also a bivocational pastor where he serves First Baptist Church of Lowrys, South Carolina. Mike is husband to Miss Karen Shafer, who's also employed at the funeral home. And Mike is also a distinguished member of the Chester, South Carolina Rotary Club. Just help me welcome Mike Shafer. And I forgot to mention, he is going to speak on his trip to Haiti in July. Our trip.
Thank you. I'm going to stand here if that's all right with y'all. So you know a couple things about me already. You know that I'm a preacher and I'm a funeral director. So if I cannot attempt or encourage you to live a righteous life, then I can send you on your way. All right, I'm glad to be here. I know as part of Chester Rotary we have a schedule. We try to get out on time, and I'm going to try hard to get you out of here. So what I want to just tell you briefly, and try to do it very briefly. I did not know a thing about Carolina Outreach. Didn't even know it existed until I invited a preacher friend of mine to come and tell our church, our congregation, a little bit about what he did in Haiti, why he went, what's over there that we need to know about, what's going on, and so on. And he did. And that presentation that Will made changed the life of some of my members in that church. It encouraged them, it infused them to be a part of that trip. And we began to talk about putting together a trip, or maybe we could partner through these people called Carolina Outreach and see if they would allow us to be a part of their ministry and allow us to go on the next trip, which was being pretty quick. So anyhow, we did that. We talked about it, and we did. And we were a part of a trip in July that went to Haiti with Claudette and with Sam and with Erica, about 40 people. We had a great trip, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. And then when we finish, I want to tell you a little bit about why it's a passion now for me personally and for my wife, Karen. Now y'all say Karen, I say Karen. I will try to have you pronounce it properly before we leave. So this little information about Carolina Outreach. Let me tell you what I know about it, and I'm gonna hopefully Sam will give me some help if I need it. I have another word for you before I leave today, but we'll save that for a few minutes. Carolina Outreach is a nonprofit organization that assists in humanitarian aid and evangelistic training and medical education and building buildings and helping establish a better way of life for people in Haiti than they have now. I listened to Dave's prayer. We could have stopped right there, and because he said exactly what I wanted you to hear about why Haiti. He said that we drink water that's clean. We live in homes that are shelter for us. I'm not here to preach to you, but I want to tell you this. I'll tell you this. Maybe it won't be the only thing. The Bible says something like this when it's talking to the people that were chosen by God Himself as His chosen people. He said, "You live in houses you did not build. You drink from wells that you did not dig. You eat food from vines and trees that you did not plant." And He was telling them that this has been supplied for you. We live in America. We are very blessed to live here. And a lot of things that we have because other people have helped have helped us to have them, but ultimately we have them, I believe, and I have to say this as a pastor, that we have them because of the blessing of the Lord Jesus Christ in our life. And whether you believe that or whether you don't really is irrelevant. It's a truth because God said it. That's the sermon. So why Haiti? Haiti, Carolina Outreach to Haiti. Let's go back to that slide. Carolina Outreach to Haiti. This is a mission statement. Our mission is to promote health, education, and spiritual development in rural communities in South Haiti. Carolina's Outreach to Haiti is committed to entrusting Haitians with tools, something the gentleman mentioned in his prayer, with tools and programs that will assist in community development, such as irrigation, farming, clean water systems, vaccinations, and family planning. Okay? This is just showing you a little bit about where Haiti is located. It's in the Caribbean. You can see what's around it. Okay, we'll move on. This is some statistics that you may want to know about. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Its gross national income is $660 per capita or per person a year. Compared to Nicaragua, which is the second poorest, it is, which is what we have, 50,000. No, second poorest. 50%. That's what I'm trying to say. It's 50%. So Nicaragua's per capita is $1,320 if my math is correct. Our gross national income in the United States is $50,120. Quite a difference, you can see. It covers the western one-third of the island of Hispaniola with an area of 27,750 square kilometers. And that's that Orangeburg. Orangeburg. It's slightly smaller than the state of Maryland. That gives you a visual of the size of Haiti. Its population is 10 million and growing. 10 million people. That's a lot of people to put in a place smaller than the state of Maryland. 2/3 of the labor force do not have formal jobs. 62% of the population exists below the international poverty level or poverty line, which is $1.25 per day income. So it gives you an idea of Haiti. It's a very poor place. It's a very sheltered place, I guess would be a good word. Okay, we'll move forward. It has 15% annual inflation. 80 out of 1,000 children never see their first birthday. For every 100,000 births, 523 women die, comparing to 8 per 100,000 in Europe. A comparison there of the death. Greater than 7% die before they reach age 5. Adult literacy is 49%. 1/3 of the girls over 6 years of age never attend school. 30% of those that attend school don't make it to the 3rd grade. 60% leave before the 6th, and 50% are over age for the class they attend. Our next slide. I'm just going to walk you through this very quickly, then I have a couple things to tell you, and we will be done. This is us getting ready, leaving the airport. This is how we traveled. It was raining. We got there. We had been told it was going to be hot, and y'all, hot. Sam is a very honest man, but hot is not a good description. It was hot, bad. And for a 300-pound preacher, it was bad. All right, next slide. So here we are. You notice this truck we're just showing you. This is like a taxi cab. This is how they travel. You notice how it has a load on it. They even have an extension on it. But there are people there. That's full of people in that truck. That's not full of stuff. It's full of people. Okay? This is one of their creeks. You might see them bathing in this. You might see them washing clothes. Very, very, very unsanitary, which is part of what Carolina Outreach does. They go, and you'll see this on the slide, they try to put down wells, dig wells, so that they will have clean water. Okay? There's one of the wells. It costs about $2,500 to put a well in Haiti. To me individually, to my pocketbook individually, $2,500 is a lot of money. But to a group of people collectively, like a small church that has about 43 in Sunday school, could have 75, but most of the time we average around 54. Just to do a little bragging, First Baptist Church of Lowrys was able to encourage our people. We put just the Baptist men, guys, nothing against the ladies, I'm not saying that, but just the Baptist men decided, hey, we're going to do this. We feel like this is what we ought to do. Just a group of Baptist men of about 16 men put down 2 wells and that brings you to about $5,000 because they saw the need. This is a gathering where the well is being dedicated. Okay. This is part of what they do. They are preparing blocks here because they're building. We call it a medical clinic. Not actually as a medical clinic, but it's a storage building for the medical clinic. Is that correct, Sam?
That's correct.
So that storage building is should be, I'm guessing, 98% complete because it was 90% complete when we left there in July. But what they're doing here, you see the sand, you see they're building those blocks. They're making their own blocks. It's not like you can ship blocks there. You have to make them. So they're making them. And they're carrying them to a place. We'll go on to the next slide. Here they are, still carrying them. We'll go ahead. Okay. Just some scenes. All right. There's the storage building. You can see it coming together. Still some others. All right. You see, this is Jake here on the right. This is one of our young people. This is our minister of youth here on the left, Mark. He's putting sand in the sift, and they're actually sifting that sand. And that has to be done to make the blocks. Now I'm talking like I know. I didn't work in this part of it. I worked in the medical clinic with Claudette and some others. But they have educated us on this is what they did do. It's a process. It's not just like, okay, we'll slip out some money out of our pocket, we'll pay them, they'll buy some blocks and build a building. It's not like that. It's a hands-on project where you have to actually do all of the work yourself. Okay, we're ready. This is just a little entertainment. This is actually on Shafer, the mountain that they climbed. Sam, you were there with them. I did not climb the mountain because they basically said that fat people who are not well, how did they tell me? Preacher? Fat people who are not in good shape probably don't need to try to climb the mountain. They want to try to be real nice about it. I didn't climb the mountain because basically I wanted to stay and work in the clinic. I will be going up some mountain in January. We're going back. They're playing duck, duck, goose. It's just a game. The children loved it. They went wild about it. Just something that you would take for granted or I would take for granted. We don't have time for that kind of stuff. They loved it because it meant that people were spending time. Another thing he mentioned in his prayer. Spending time, you matter, they matter to you in their life. Duck, duck, goose was just a little game, fun game. They loved it. All right. This is where the ones that there were what, maybe 14 to 15 that went up the mountain to Shafer.
About that, yes.
This is where they slept. It looks like they're probably getting up, but there was no beds, there was no air conditioning. Did I mention it was hot? There was no air conditioning. Here they are cooking. You see the kettle they're cooking in. You can just see some of their surroundings. They're going here. They're going back down the mountain. They're actually going here. If I remember correctly from some slides you don't have, they're going to dedicate a well that was put on that mountain by First Baptist Church Blackstock, a colleague of ours, if you could say, one of the churches that we went with 4 churches: Blackstock, Lowrys, Liberty, and some folks from Second Baptist went. And this is the team that went up Shafer. And they're going to actually dedicate that well while they're there. That's where they're headed now. This is a trip on a boat. We went to an island. They have an island there. There's about 600 people that live on that island, and they live on that island. They may go to what I call a homeland to now and then, but basically they live on that island. We went there. We set up a medical clinic. Just very quickly, I'll tell you. We took a building about this size, about the size of this room, their worship place. We had along those benches over there. Here we had people taking blood pressure, what we call triage. Next post we had a doctor that would talk to them, or maybe a nurse that would talk to them about what their problem was. And then the third post we would have someone dispensing medicine to them, medicine that was donated by people in the medical field, maybe people just like you. I'm not sure what your occupations are, but everything we did, everything we took, other than the people that went on the trip, they paid their own way. Everything we took, everything we did was donated by people that said, I want to have a part in this ministry. I'll use that word. Okay, this is the island. You can see that's where the people live. That's some of their houses. This is let's back up one. Orphanage.
That's the orphanage.
Okay, that we're going to see more of that. But this is an orphanage that's owned by Carolina Outreach. Right now, it's not in shambles. That's not a good word, but it's not up and running. That's one of the next goals that we have, is to get this orphanage up and working, because it's a place for children to have a home and to have a meal and to have shelter. And many of them have none of that right now. Okay? This is how, let's see if let me look at this. Eric, is that you?
That's me.
That's how we transported ourselves back and forth. Now there are 2 vans following this, 2 or 3. There are 2 vans. Some of them chose to ride on the truck because it was a little. Did I mention it was hot over there? Because in the van, the driver would cut the air on once in a while because it took too much gas, because gas is so high. They would not run the air that often. So the smart ones in the group said, that's fine, we'll just ride on the back of the truck. We're running about 55, 60 miles an hour.
Ooh.
And they're hanging on the back of the truck, just having a good time. Okay, we'll move on. This is it's a beautiful place, beautiful countryside. This is worship at Valbrine.
That's not good, yes.
Okay, we're having worship here. I believe this is the night that we were going to show the what we call the Jesus film and talk to I said it was evangelistic. This is our evangelistic outreach this night. Show the film. Let me just tell you one thing. We gave the children a choice between they watched the film. Then we said we'll give you a choice. We're going to ask some questions. We didn't have enough for everybody. So they love stuff. They love soccer balls. That's the big. They love soccer balls. And so we took a lot of soccer balls and we said, okay, we're going to ask a question, and you can have a choice between the soccer ball or the Bible.
Yes.
What do you think they chose? They chose the Bible. That says something about. See, we didn't have to go and tell them about that there's a God that loves you. They knew that already. We had to go and say, this is what the God that loves you sent us, and that's why we're here, because we've come to exemplify Him and to imitate Him before you and do some things for you. There's the soccer ball. We did take soccer balls and we did give soccer balls, but their choice most of the time was, we want the Bible. This is a well. Of course, this is the pump by hand. The water into the bucket, obviously. You can figure that out. Let's go ahead. There's just another picture. Let's see. Let's back up. Where you at, Sam? I don't see Sam. He's there.
Yeah, I'm there in that corner over there.
All right, this is the pastor. Here's the pastor. This is Will McBrayer. This is Jules. Jules is an angel in disguise. This is Sam. I could tell you a lot more, but I don't want to keep you past your time, so I will rush you through a little. All right. That's the well. Just a close-up picture. That may not mean a lot to you, but to the people in Haiti, when they see that, it's like gold to them. Think of whatever's valuable to you. You say, if I could just attain this in my life, that you cannot imagine. You cannot literally imagine. I know that you guys are educated. I'm not saying anything about that, but you cannot imagine how gracious they are. In America, in the funeral home, I manage Barron Funeral Home in Chester. I go into we have children come into the funeral home. I give them a piece of candy, just something we do. We have little candy dishes all around. I give them a piece of candy, and if I give one too, the other one may grab one out of his hand. In Haiti, if you give a child a piece of candy, they unwrap it, they put it in their mouth, they bite it into 3 or 4 pieces, and they share it with whoever's with them. They are very, very gracious for anything that you do for them. This is one of the guys from my church. We call him Big John. Some folks knew we were going. They said, listen, we want to donate like 150 soccer shoes and take them with you. So we did, and they're giving out those shoes there. We didn't have to go out and ask people, will you do this and you do that? Most of the time, people heard what we were doing, what Carolina Outreach was doing, and that Lowrys was a part of that in Blackstock, and they would come on board and offer to do things with us. Okay. This is the clinic. You can see it coming together. They're putting the roof on it. This is the storage building for the clinic. It's another picture of the clinic. Storage. You see how it's come together. Just from Sam, am I right? Just from July the 18th to July the 25th. 2 of those days we were flying there and flying home. So 4 days time. This is what was accomplished. And remember, they had to make the brick. To me, that's just amazing. Okay, y'all. This is where we stayed. Now, I'm going to take just a second. I'm a preacher. Claudette, Sam, Christian people, Erica, many of you, I hope all of you. This sign right here says, bar, restaurant, nightclub. I had to come back to my church. Where did you stay, preacher? We stayed in the bar. And I'm just picking on him about that. This was, I actually, when we got there, I thought, what in the world have we gotten into? And now, I don't know how well y'all know Claudette, and I don't know her as well as y'all do, but when she got there, Claudette is the managing director of Carolina Outreach, same as the president. Y'all, Claudette has a temper. Claudette said, this is not what I planned on. But we were good. We didn't have air conditioning. Did I mention it was hot? We did not have air conditioning. We did not. One of my guys, he said, preacher, I want to ask you a question. Does your bathroom door close? I said, you got a bathroom door in there? We did not even have a door. The shower head was something that looks like a shower head, and a stream of water come out about the size of my thumb. Literally, ask my wife, Karen. I'm training y'all how to say her name, Karen. But this is what I want you to hear. It was, and I'm not saying this to be funny, it was extremely hot. So hot that some of our people in the middle of the night said, we just can't sleep, we're just going to get up and sit in the hall, and they did. Through the night, the air conditioning, not the air conditioning, the electricity would go off. And that meant now you had no lights and no fan, because our air conditioner was a fan that you put by your bed, a little oscillating fan. Terribly hot. You quickly, very quickly, you forgot that. Because the need that was before you and the people were so gracious for what you did, till it didn't matter. It could have been hotter than it was. In fact, I'm planning on going back in January. I'm planning on going back in July. Because it is very, very rewarding, and you are able to not just talk about it, but you do make a difference. This is a little naked girl, I don't know if you can tell it. Naked as a jaybird. And that's just them. That's their life, because that's that's their culture. And they're just sharing something with them from the van. All right? I got the bright idea that I wanted to relate somehow to the children. This is our day at the beach. So I said, one thing I have learned in the ministry is, in order to relate to somebody, you have to be able to speak to them on their level. So I decided I was going to just sit in the sand and bury my feet and stuff. Well, they decided we're going to bury everything. And that's me. That's me. All right, let's go to the next one. They're buried. These children, they got around. We had a great time. You know what the people from my church said? Preacher, that was some more hole for them to have to dig. We had a great time. All right, this is the orphanage again, just showing you some things about it. This is a worship service that we're getting ready to have at the orphanage. Everywhere we went, we did humanitarian aid. They put down a well. They distributed Bibles, but we made sure that everywhere we went, we tried. I'm a preacher, so I have to say this. We tried to make sure that we expressed the gospel. That this isn't just about Carolina Outreach. It's about what the Lord Jesus Christ is doing for you on behalf of His people. All right, go back to that picture one time. You notice we're sitting on 2 befores. And we're having a good time. There's a guy there preaching. Sam's probably up there right now. We can't see him. But I want to tell y'all, I weigh 300 pounds. We're sitting. These are blocks that they made. That were made. So I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting by some of these kids. You can't see me now because I'm probably up by now because my block broke. And I said, oh my goodness, I have never broke a cement block before, but I broke that one. Okay, this is just our crowd. That's the crowd there at the orphanage. All right, that's a bad looking preacher is what that is. That's my wife. That's Karen. That's right. All right, there it is. Claudette. Y'all, she should have been a drill sergeant. I'm telling you, she kept us in gear, and what she's doing. These people are lined up. They're getting ready to go into clinic, and it looks like it's. But there's the rooms. Remember, I told you they're like 3 sections. They came to Claudette and whoever was with her. They said my knee hurts, my back hurts, my neck hurts, this or that. You have a
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. Oh, I gotta do it. Blood pressure. Taking blood pressure. So we're just lining up for the clinic. This is where the doctor saw. This is the bed that the doctor needed to see them if they needed to lay down. Just a picture. We're almost to, should be close to the end. Okay, still the clinic. We're delivering the gospel. Just enjoying being with him. Okay, that's what I want to tell you. My time's up and putting me in more perfect. I made a note. You just got to give me 30 seconds to tell you this, because this is what matters. You said some words in your prayer, and gentleman that spoke said some words. One of the things said lasting change, fellowship, humanitarian, make a difference. Carolina Outreach. I'm going to leave that later. Carolina Outreach is, I said to you, is a non-profit organization. I'm going to give you some statistics, and you can decide whether you want to be a part of that or not. The children over there, for $150 a year, you can sponsor a child. We can give you a picture of the child. You can write that child. You can say, that's my child. I'm sponsoring that child. And you can also get your honey hoo-hoo on the airplane with us in July and go and see that child if you'd like to. We'd be glad to have you. $150 a year. Most of you are going to spend that in a week in food to eat if you work. Karen and I could spend $150 easy eating out every day. Eating out. I know the time. Just bear with me. You can be a part of Carolina Outreach. It's a tax-free donation. You can be a part of that. But this is why I want to answer this question. Why would I? I'm going to answer it for you, and I'm going to hush. When I went to Haiti, I went with a boot on my leg because I had hurt my leg. Very quickly. There was we supplied water, drinking water, because you can't drink that water. You have to have bottled water. Sam would keep somebody keeping us water. And I said, Sam, I want to go with them to get the water. He said, Pastor Mike, you have boot on leg. Now, he talks different now, but that's my imitation of Sam. He said, you be all right? I said, I'll be fine. I want to go with them. So I'm hobbling with that boot. We come to a ditch about twice as deep as I am tall. And the bridge across that was about the width of your tables that you're sitting at. And the bridge was made of 2 logs and a piece of plywood, about every 2 feet. When I saw the bridge, it frightened me, because I said, I don't know if I can make it on this bridge by myself. When I went to cross that bridge, there was a man there with me, very small, thin Haitian man. We were carrying a cooler. He looked at me like, you're going to be able to make it? And I looked at him like, I don't know. He said, give me the cooler. Now, he can't speak English, and I can't speak Haitian Creole. So he took the cooler and he went across. So I said, well, I'll stand here till he comes back. I don't know how long it'll take him, but I'll be here. He set the cooler down. He came back across the bridge. He held out his hands. He took me by the hand. I'm 53 years old. And I held hands with a Haitian gentleman, and he walked me across that bridge at my pace. This is what I want to leave with you. The Haitians need your hands. They need you to be a bridge for them. Why? Because we are well blessed. And because we are blessed, the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is expected. So you are well blessed. That's why I went to Haiti, because God has blessed my wife and I, not because we're rich financially, but because we're healthy, we have a good home. And he put across our path Claudette and Sam, and Will McBrayer and some other people, and Erica that went to Haiti, and it made a difference. And now that I heard the story, it obligated me to be a part of the solution. You've heard the story. So you have to deal with your own obligation, but that's how I dealt with mine. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We do appreciate that. Or you can tell he's a minister, you can't get him to sit down. Okay, we will do our little thing here.
Dave, you have big one. Right. Yeah.